genital mutilation. Before now, together, mental health and female genital mutilation. But yes, that is the subject we're discussing today, mental health and female genital mutilation. It is of cutting or mutilating parts of or circumcised, if you please. However, research has shown that this practice has psychological effects, or cutting, that's also another name for it. To discuss mental health and female genital mutilation today with me is Oluwanifemi Showali, a psychologist. Hello, Oluwanifemi.
Hi.
Would you prefer for me to call you Oluwanifemi?
Is just fine.
All right.
Thank you.
That's actually one of my favorite Yoruba names.
Oh, thank you. And you
So
got the pronunciation spot on.
because it's sweet. It's sweet to say. It's sweet to say. So thank you very much, Nifemi, for joining us today on Let's Talk FGM. Okay, she's going to be enlightening us on the psychological effects or mental health effects on the psychological effects of FGM, female genital mutilation, on women and girls who have been subjected to this. So the number to call to contribute, ask questions, react, observe, whatever it is you please. The number to call is 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. You can also send your text or WhatsApp messages to 0703 175 6537. I'll take the numbers again. 07000 917 917 is the number to call. You can send your text or WhatsApp messages to 0703 175 6537. Now, Ifemi, I did say earlier that, let me rephrase that. So you do hear about female genital mutilation.
Definitely.
But a lot more people think about it from the physical mental health effects on people.
Yeah.
So tell us about these mental health effects. I'm supposing that these are negative.
Of course.
Mental health.
Yes.
Yes. So what are some of those that FGM has in women or girls?
For you. So we know that this act is usually done to girls between the ages of 5 to 10 before their first menstrual, periods. Right. So they're doing it to do something. And we need to take note of that. I'll come back to that. What are they trying to do? They're trying to curb their sex drive. Let's note that. They're trying to curb their sex drive. So let's paint this picture. Aminat is a 10-year-old girl. Right. She's living at home with her parents. And one day her parents just say, Aminat, we're going for summer holiday. We're going to the village, or we're going, to celebrate the end of the year when Nigerians gather together. Yes. So we're going home. Everybody running around, eating meat. And they tell the boys, go out and play. So the girls are together. Mothers, big mummies are there. The grandma is there as the matriarch of the family. Aminat is sitting down and she's wondering, I just want to play. What is really going on? Calling me into a room. And then she gets into the room. Her perceptions translate to your interactions with the physical world.
Absolutely. That is
right. So how do you think she feels, first of all? She's perfect.
Fear and confusion.
Thank you. What's happening here? Incense in the air. It's and then they tell her to lie down. And big mommy or grandma brings out a strange looking object. Sharp object. And we try to run away or we freeze. So if Amina tries to fight, she's held back and restrained by big mommy, by auntie, in fact by mommy. And she said, no, relax. I'm painting a picture so we see the mental health implications of these things. Yes. It doesn't sound far-fetched.
Absolutely.
Right. So Amina is restrained if she tries to fight. If she tries to run to the door, insult her mom, and bring her right back to the bed and say, what is wrong with you? In fact, I was watching a documentary and sometimes they tie their legs to the bed. And so she does this. And the last one, which is the most shocking, which a lot of people do, is Amina will freeze. And she will have what the layman will call an out-of-body experience. She would watch herself go through this vile act of curbing one's sexual drive. What do you think that is? That is the mental health effect at the initial stage. So I'm not trying to. I'm breaking it down so that we see that these things happen in stages. Our heart is first of all broken. My mom has lied to me.
Yes. And from a child, that is registered even deeper than it would be normally.
Thank you. My mom has lied to me. I'm supposed to go home and enjoy end of the year, Christmas holiday. I'm supposed to enjoy Salah, and I'm just at home, and they've done this to me by people I'm to trust. So let's take it that the first psychosocial principle of human existence, that's the basic trust versus mistrust, is broken. I can't trust anybody anymore. And then the fear of the traumatic experience that has happened. And guess what? When that is done, the act is done. Amina and her cousins can't talk about it.
That's another thing.
They can't talk about it. They can't ask questions about how it affects them. They can't talk about what has happened to them because mommy has gone through it and mommy didn't talk about it. Auntie has gone through it and auntie didn't talk about it. In fact, it is celebrated. The documentary I watched, incense were burning and they were playing music. They even took really decorative pictures of these young girls. And they told them, you've become a woman. Imagine.
Another lie.
Thank you. Another lie. Confusion. Heartbreak. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
Happening all at once. And she's supposed to be in absolute total silence. So I hope the picture that I've painted gives you an insight into the mental health implications of
it does, even more than I wanted to realize it. It really does. You can see my experience. I'm like, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
And the worst part of all of this is that Amina is 10.
She's 10.
She's 10. And then for some, probably even younger.
Yes.
And then for some, probably even older as well. So, okay.
Okay, I think you need to cut yourself.
I need a moment. Yeah. I do need a moment. Yeah. Please bear with me.
Okay. Take your time.
So, wrapping my head around this is, I feel revulsion, I feel disgust, I feel anger, I feel, I'm also, and I'm not even Amina. I'm not. Amina
can be any girl.
That's
Amina is every girl
that this has happened to.
Yes.
And this takes me to that point where it happened to each and every single one of them. All these emotions in one and in silence.
Yeah.
In silence.
Yeah.
And this silence extends to practically forever because they never really get the chance to talk about it.
Yes.
Interesting. Yes. So, given all these pictures or this very detailed graphic picture that you've given, I want to know how this, because you said the basic psychosocial interactions have been messed with. They've been broken. They've been disorganized. They've been flawed, shattered.
Yes.
And I would like to know, you mentioned some of them. In fact, you mentioned a number of them. Now, some of us understand how some of these emotions play out because some people have been through maybe one or some of each of these individual emotions at different points in time that maybe or maybe not do not point to female genital mutilation. But I want to know how it plays out
in FGM,
in people who have been subjected to female genital mutilation.
Okay, so picking up on Amina's story, I like to use stories so that we can relate to them and it doesn't look like I'm just speaking something that's far-fetched. So Amina is 10 At that age, she's probably about to get her first period. And at that point, another psychosocial pillar that is formed is called identity versus role confusion. So imagine taking something from Amina that she did not have control over. What have you done to her? You've taken her identity. You have taken a part of Amina that is very difficult to restore. Not impossible, but very draining and tasking to restore. That's the first thing you've done to her. And when identity is taken, I don't know who I am. I don't know myself. I can't connect with me. What happens then? A sense of hopelessness and worthlessness. And what is that? Depression. Amina will sink into depression, and everybody's wondering what's happening to Amina. In fact, she will go back to school and she can't relate with her classmates anymore.
Because she's a different person.
Exactly. And she can't relate. And her mom is like, what's wrong with you? And everybody's saying, oh, shake out of it. You know? And Amina, she's not connecting with herself. So she grew up, some manages to pass through, secondary school. She's in her first year, or she's in uni. And at that time, a lot of people are craving intimacy. A lot of people want to be in relationships, And then Amina is finding it difficult. There's identity taking, there's depression. She's finding it difficult to form intimacy. Because sex or sexual intimacy is a part of intimacy.
Yes, that is true.
And Amina can't form intimacy. She's, trying to be physically intimate with her partner, and she's not there. And it's causing a rift in her relationship. Okay, she tries to fake it. She gets married and she's experiencing vaginismus. She can't enjoy sex. Sex is literally painful and excruciating to her. All of these things are how FGM, female circumcision, affects the mental health of girls, of women, of ladies in every aspect of their lives. And it's not something that's far-fetched. It's not something that you think isn't happening. It's very real, and it happens all the time. Yeah. So. Okay.
It's happening again. Okay, so Nifemi.
Yes, please.
One thing that stands out to me is the trust factor.
Yeah.
Which you rightly mentioned. As a matter of fact, you said that's the first layer.
Yes, the first principle.
That every other thing builds on top.
Yeah,
on top of. Yes. Yeah. So, in my mind, that lack of trust or the difficulty in maintaining trust, in developing or maintaining trust with anyone, just basically stems into every single aspect of their lives. So it started off with mom
and dad,
because dad, to a large extent,
yes.
As a matter of fact, you're thinking even if he didn't know, like how can't you even say he didn't know? He knew. I mean, it might maybe, but then you ask me, really, like, how could he really not know about it? So if you're giving dad the benefit of the doubt, you're still hurt by the fact that maybe he didn't know that. How could you really not know? So that's mom and dad. And then even just making friends in school is difficult. And then you mentioned they need that craving for intimacy. And then that's hard. But just emotional intimacy is even one thing. Yeah. Which, of course, trust is a basic principle of that. Yeah. And then that one is even hard. Then you now talk of the physical and then into marriage. And then, of course, if you're looking at it from your partner's point of view, your partner is finding it frustrating to even have that connection with you. Yeah. And then, of course, feeding off of your frustration, your partner's frustration, and then you eventually just, that's a very long rope of the lack of trust, which is basically stemming from just that one act that was that they had been subjected to.
Yes.
I'm doing this because I'm trying to tie the pieces together in my mind.
Okay.
And for the benefit of the people listening as well. So I want to ask if there are any of these mental health challenges that are specific to FGM, because some of these things you mentioned are, they could be everyday mental health challenges. I mean, people are depressed every day from everyday things.
Yes.
Sometimes one thing about depression that boggles me is the fact that some people, a good amount of people who are depressed don't know why.
Yes, high functioning depression.
They are depressed. That's what they call that. High functioning depression.
So you're functioning as a regular person. You're functioning like yourself, but then deep down you're just floating. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's literally what I mean.
Yeah.
So they're fine, and they seem even better than fine sometimes, because they are exuberant, they're fine, they're vibrant, they're vivacious, and you think, oh, their work is good, they're succeeding. Why are they depressed? Is the next question. But then this could also be linked to FGM. So are there any cases that you've heard about, or you've watched, or you've experienced, that these people had mental health challenges born specifically from FGM?
Yes. Okay, so I actually came prepared.
I like that. I like that.
I want to read, someone's experience. I'm going to keep the name hidden because of confidentiality. Okay, so this person says an FGM happened to her. Although she was only 5 at the time, she still remembers the pain and the horror of the situation. No sedation, she passed out. All she remembers is waking up exhausted and crying from the pain. I couldn't move because I was tied. I was tied up to the bed, both arms and legs. I looked over to the bed next to me to find my sister, who had also been tied up. No one in my family talks about it. I actually thought it was a dream.
Goes back to freezing, out-of-body experience, as you said.
Yes, I actually thought it was a dream. I mentioned it innocently to my mother when I got older to confirm that it was a dream. She was shocked, I remembered, because I was so young. My sister, who's also older, remembers. What do you think happens here?
This is a 5-year-old. This happened when she was 5.
And everybody thinks, oh, she can't remember. There's something called their ego defense mechanisms. I'll explain it. Now, what we do, or what people use ego defense mechanisms to do, is protect themselves. Right. Now, what is a mental health disorder that is tied to this? Is repression. A lot of ladies that are dealing or that have gone through female circumcision, FGM, repress a lot. I don't want to remember this. It's a sign of PTSD. I don't want to remember this. And what is PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder. Anything that is outside of your norm is a trauma. Anything that upsets your daily flow is traumatic. So imagine the level of trauma they've been through, and then they start to repress. I don't want to remember this. I don't want to think about this.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. So I just go on living life like everything is okay.
High functioning depression.
Yeah.
I see how that ties in.
Yeah.
See, it's very bothersome when depression generally is mentioned. A lot of people are it's like, oh, wow. And that's because, or I think that's because mental health is a subject that we're just getting into that phase where we're really understanding it, let alone talking about it.
Yeah.
I literally said today that whenever people say mental health, people just roll their eyes. Oh, not again. Like, I will still, like, most everything be mental health. I want to sit down. Don't sit down too much. Maybe it will stress your mental health. And some people think it's even been... When you link this to FGM, the fact that mental health issues, or mental health as a construct in itself, is now largely popularized, but at the same time trivialized. How do you think that affects, or how would you say that affects survivors or victims or people that have been subjected to FGM? I will let you answer that in a moment.
Okay.
It's 25 minutes past the hour of 2 on your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and you are tuned in to Let's Talk FGM. Let's Talk FGM is an initiative of Hacey Health Initiative in partnership with Women Radio 91.7 and funded by the United Nations Trust Fund to End Violence Against Women. My name is Somto Titilayo Ajama, and today I'm talking about mental health and female genital mutilation. Mental health and female genital mutilation. I'm not here alone. I'm discussing this with my guest, Oluwanifemi Showali, a psychologist. This subject, believe me, is something that you want to know about. If you don't need it, probably because you think you know, somebody around you does need it. So please listen and just create that awareness about this program and about the subject of mental health and female genital mutilation. The number to call is 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. You can also send your text or WhatsApp messages to 0703 175 6537. I'm going to pose this question just so that we can get some response. If you're out there and you have gone through female genital mutilation and it's taken any toll on your mental health, share your experience, talk to me about it, talk to Nifemi about it, and let's see, really let people understand that this is a harsh reality that people are actually facing, that women are actually facing, and that this is something that needs to be discussed and needs more awareness on. So back to you, Nifemi.
Yes, to the question of trivialization of FGM and mental health. So the truth is, people really don't understand the impact of mental health. I'd say this, a lot of times when you have headaches, you pay attention to it, right? But when you feel sad, because of the culture we have developed to quickly move on.
They move.
Yeah, we move.
They move factor.
Yes, to quickly, disregard how you're feeling, to suppress how you're feeling, because, you're supposed to be strong.
Yes, resilient.
Yes.
A typical Nigerian or a typical person.
You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to, act tough and be tough, that you become desensitized to your own feelings. That is translated to FGM. That a lot of times these women go through these experiences and they're expected to not have a feeling whatsoever about it. They're not to have an opinion about it. They're not supposed to talk about it. They're not supposed to acknowledge, in fact, that it has been done to them or done against them.
Yes.
It's not an act that should be done. It's a crime.
So true, so true.
Yes. So this is where, we find the link between these things. That mental health is seen as a taboo. Once you talk about mental health, people already think, it's either an excuse or it's an extreme behavior.
Exactly. It's alarm bells going off everywhere.
And everybody's looking at you like, oh my God.
Is she for real? Is this a meltdown?
Yeah.
And every time I hear that, I'm like, why can't you take this seriously? And then particularly when it's posed or when it's happening to women.
Yes.
It's like, such a typical woman, so emotional. And then I just want to cringe and act like I don't care, but I do, and I want to say something because it's not a meltdown. This is real. And it's not a woman thing. I wish more people would realize it. Mental health is not a woman thing.
If I can interject here, I need to say something about expressing emotions. Emotions, even negative or unpleasant emotions, as you will call it, are to be felt and expressed. I always say this, that we as humans, our physical body is a container. It's like your water bottle.
That's right.
Your experiences, the life stressors, the traumatic experiences that you go through are like the content of your water bottle. Water, your juice. Imagine if, your water bottle is filled to the brim and you're not letting it out. And that's where mental health is. And you keep pouring more experiences. You keep saying we move. You keep saying, you don't talk about it.
I'll be okay.
I'll be fine. It's really nothing. That container is going to give way. Even if the water drops in, tiny drops. Yeah. That vessel is going to give way. So if we keep trivializing mental health, if we keep trivializing female genital mutilation, and we're saying these things don't occur, it's something, it's a rite of passage, you know, and we're not acknowledging the mental health implications of these things, these women, your sister, your friend, your cousin, she's going to tip over. And you're going to be wondering, and you know, it's interesting when a lot of people now die by suicide. You have a lot of people say, "Oh, but she should have talked."
That is true. That is very true for that conversation.
And even when this woman talks about what she's been through, do we actually listen, or are we condescending about it?
See, we'll talk about that. We will definitely talk about that, because I'm not team just talk about all the problems. I like, okay, now we've acknowledged that we have a problem. Can we talk solution?
Yes.
Can we talk way forward?
Yes.
I know that's the guilty thing in me now is going, and now you're doing remove. But technically, yes, we do move at the end of the day.
Yes,
we have to
move.
We have to move. But we can move forward with a positive mindset. You love me, right?
Yes.
I know. I do too. We can move forward with a positive mindset. So that's what I want you to shed more light on in just a moment. Now, an awkward question, which I did not even consider before, now just popped in my head. And I dare say this may not be directly linked
to FGM.
To this conversation.
Okay.
Do you think that the people who subject women to FGM and its varieties, do you think that they are mentally impaired?
Yes. Not impaired. Okay,
pardon my phrasing. Do you think that
they're expressing
it's a side effect or a byproduct, a mental byproduct of being victims as well?
So there's something.
Tell me more about that, please.
There's something called projection. So because I didn't find a safe outlet to talk about how I'm feeling, I would project, or people will say transfer aggression onto the next person. So the Amina's auntie that did that is projecting, or why are you cringing? Why are you moving? I've been through it too. So she's expressing her own trauma
through you.
And that's projection. And that's another defense mechanism. That's another way of shielding myself, protecting myself, validating my feelings about
the issue.
Yeah.
Using Amina's
as an example.
Interesting. I'll tell you why that occurred to me.
Okay.
So you see this Amina story that you gave now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. It's the first thing in my mind. Because my imagination is very graphic. So as you were playing it out, my head was
traumatized.
Absolutely. I was going to say absolutely not, but I mean, it helps because now I have an even better understanding of this. So when you talked about Amina's mother and the aunties holding her down, the first thing that came into my mind is, you can tell that this is pain that you are going to inflict on these people. Amina herself, her cousins, you can tell that this is going to hurt.
Yes.
And it's going to hurt badly.
Yes.
Yet you choose
to do it.
You choose to partake in this act. Doesn't that say something about you? And that was what made me ask that question, because it has to say something.
I think I need to say something that sometimes we forgo self when imposed culture is in place. It's a sociological thing.
So it's not like it's not what they want to, what they typically would want to do.
You will find, in that room, you'll find some aunties say, sorry, just sorry, just take it. It's groupthink. Once one notion is passed within a group, everybody will follow it. It's groupthink. So I'm going to forgo my own feelings I'm going to forego how I feel, my empathetic side about this, and just do it because it is tradition. So it doesn't necessarily mean that auntie is evil. Although auntie is projecting her own pain.
Yes, there is that.
It doesn't mean auntie is evil, doesn't mean mommy is evil. It just means it's groupthink. So you can see that whilst we're dealing with the individuals, we have to deal with cultural beliefs.
I see.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with this. And there was another awkward train of thought that just flashed before my eyes. And it goes back to groupthink, as you said.
Yes.
If this is obviously a problem, this is obviously an anomaly, this is obviously something that shouldn't be done, is there any way to address that groupthink?
Yes. So I'll give you an example. If you're in a large crowd, right, and someone passes a notion, maybe the person on the podium comes and says something, can we all rise? If one person sits down in that group, you'll find that trickles of people will begin to sit down because, not everybody is listening to the person at the podium anymore. So we need you. We need me to talk about these things, to go to our villages, to have symposiums, to have seminars about these things so that we can change the cultural beliefs. We need people to, like Hacey Health, to really, and I love the work that they're doing.
Absolutely. You can say that again.
Yeah, to really talk about this, to really tell people the implications of these things. And I really like that, they've decided to bring out the mental health effects of these things because it's overlooked, in fact, ignored, in fact, not recognized. So imagine if a lot of conversations like this are happening everywhere. People are, beginning to understand the implications of these things. And some women are coming to say, oh yeah, me too. Like the Me Too movement.
Definitely.
And they're saying, yes, me too. I've been through this. I understand this. Oh, I don't want my daughter to go through this. I don't want, her daughter to... It will stop.
I agree.
So in that large room, if one person like you and I, just like Hacey Health, decides to say, look, we have to put an end to this. Slowly.
Yes, but surely
it will stop.
It would stop.
Yeah.
All right. I don't say this much, typically. I really don't. I really don't say this much. But this subject is very sensitive.
Yes, it is.
It's very sensitive. And this is the reason why people should know about this. This is why more light should be shed on issues like this. I want to draw your attention back to where you talked about vaginismus. Vaginismus.
Yes.
And pain during sex and just that intimacy aspect of things. We have agreed that there's a frustration that is in line with that. In line with the frustration, exactly, thank you. In line with the frustration is the actual physical pain that they go through. Yes. As a matter of fact, the frustration is born from the physical pain that they are going through in the process of intimacy. Do you think that affects their worldview towards intimacy and sex generally?
Definitely. Okay, so I'll talk about, I really love mental health. I really love psychology, right? I will talk about an experiment. I think it was B.F. Skinner or Sigmund Freud, one of these behaviorists, our founding fathers, and he did an experiment on a rat. So he would have a rat touch a lever, and every time the rat touches the lever, food will come, right? And the rat will eat. So after a while, the rat got used to just touching the lever and
getting food.
Yes. So he introduced pain. Every time the rat touches the lever, small doses of electrical shocks will be passed through the rat, and it's still food. It's still something I like.
And it's still getting the food.
It's still getting food. But after a while, food will be given, and the rat wouldn't eat the food. Why? The pain attached to what is pleasurable has skewed the rat's cognitive processes to abstain from food. So let's bring it to FGM. Sex that is supposed to be pleasurable, that is part of a relationship, is frustrating, is painful. It's not enjoyable. In fact, in the type 4 FGM, in fact, she's been sealed up and sutured.
Yes, thank you. You can actually say that.
Oh, thank you. She's been sutured. And then you're asking, how is she going to enjoy this? Why would she want to even be in a relationship?
That could proceed to that point.
So you see how these things lead to our view. Just like the rat petals, the food petals, and the electrical shocks, and FGM and relationships, and even the world. Because why would I want to form a connection with you as a man if I know that at the end of the day you might want a relationship, right, that will lead to sexual intimacy, that will lead to me reliving
what intrusion, that terrible situation.
And I'm just not interested. I'd rather just
Would you say that this contributes to asexuality?
Yes.
Interesting. I must confess, I haven't thought in depth about this before. And just like I haven't, I believe a lot more people out there haven't as well.
Yeah.
They haven't as well. So when somebody recoils when you touch them, they probably, what is wrong with you? What is there? Just, and at the end of the day, it's actually bigger than what is wrong with you. Because do you really want to know what is wrong with me? Or are you just asking? Maybe because you want to. I mean, honestly, and that's actually a very valid question. Yeah. So when people like that, again, see, this is good. Now I'll let you know what just crossed my mind. We did talk earlier about the fact that conversations like that do not happen because these people you mentioned repression.
Yes.
They're trying to act like, oh, it didn't happen. And even if it did, it's in my past. I'm okay now. Yeah. I'm successful, or I'm working on my. They're not acknowledging it anymore. Yes. And then they get into these relationships. These heterosexual relationships, and they want to engage in intimacy. Then that's the problem. So, would you advise that there be conversation about this in certain structures that they can have these with their partners? Do you think more men